The year is 2941 of the Third Age. Thorin's company has reclaimed their homeland of Erebor, but the dragon Smaug now rises from his idleness, his red eyes fixed on Lake Town. Warning trumpets were suddenly sounded and echoed along the rocky shores. The cheering stopped and all joy was turned to dread. Before long, so great was his speed, they could see him as a spark of fire rushing towards them, growing ever brighter such that not the most foolish doubted that the prophecies had gone rather wrong. Still, they had a little time. Every vessel in the town was filled with water, every warrior was armed, every arrow and dart was made ready, and the bridge to the land was thrown down and destroyed. The lake rippled red as fire beneath the awful beating of his wings. Amid shrieks and wailing and the shouts of men, he came over them. He swept towards the bridges and found that he was foiled. The bridge was gone, and his enemies were on an island in deep water, too deep and dark and cool for his liking. If he plunged into it, a vapor and a steam would arise enough to cover all the land with a mist for days. It would quench him before he could pass through. Roaring, he swept back over the town. A hail of dark arrows leapt up and rattled on his scales and jewels, and their shafts fell back, kindled by his breath, hissing into the lake. No one had dared give him battle for many an age, nor would they have dared now, if it had not been for the grim-voiced man, Bard of Esgaroth, who ran to and fro in the forest of flames, bidding the archers to fight. Fire leapt from the dragon's jaws, lighting all the lake. The trees by the shores shone like copper and blood, twisting shadows of dense black at their feet. Then down he swooped, straight through the arrow storm, reckless in his rage, taking no heed to turning his scaly sides towards his foes. Fire assailed the thatched roofs as he hurtled down and past and round again. A sweep of his tail broke across the roof of the great house in the heart of Lake Town, a splintered ruin left behind. Flames unquenchable sprang high into the night, and the stars were drowned out by a great deathly light, then obscured by swaths of smoke. Another swoop, and another house, and then another sprang of fire and fell. And still, no arrow hindered Smaug, or hurt him more than a fly from the marshes. Already, men were jumping into the water on every side, and women and children were being huddled into laden boats in the market pool. Weapons were flung down. There was mourning and weeping, where but a little time ago the old songs of mirth to come had been sung about the dwarves. Now men cursed their names. They would see the silhouette only appear and then vanish into the dark vapors. The shadow of the dragon was always followed by a trail of flame. The master himself was turning to his great gilded boat, hoping to row away in the confusion and save himself. Soon, all the town would be scattered and its buildings reduced to the surface of the lake, a wound in the water. And that was the dragon's hope. Oh, they could all get into boats for all he cared. There he could have fine sport hunting them, or they could stop till they starved. Let them try to get to land and he would be ready. Soon he would set all the shoreland woods ablaze and wither every field and pasture. They would be encircled by a ring of fire like sheep in a pen. But there was still a company of archers that held their ground amongst the burning houses. Their captain was Bard, grim-voiced and grim-faced, whose friends had accused him of prophesying floods and poisoned fish, though they knew his worth and courage. He was a descendant in the long line of Girion, Lord of Dale, whose wife and child had escaped down the running river from Smaug's ruin long ago. Now Bard shot with a great yew bow, slinging arrow and arrow from the bridges till all his arrows but one were spent. The black arrow. A shaft as dark as charcoal, feathered black, and its tip a dark ingot of the forges of Erebor. Heavier than iron and made to aim true. Smaug's terrible form loomed once more, and his eyes flickered across his desolation. Bard's companions had left him. He was alone, a shadow in the burning twilight, and he bent his bow for the last time. Then suddenly, out of the dark, something fluttered to his shoulder. He started, but it was only an old thrush. "Wait, wait," it said to him. "The moon is rising. Look for the hollow of the left breast as he turns above you." The thrush had heard all the tidings of the Mountain King. Tongues of fire crawled closer along the bridge. Then Bard drew his bowstring to his ear. The dragon was circling back, flying low, and as he came, the moon rose above the eastern shore and silvered his great wings. "Arrow," said the bowman. "Black arrow, I have saved you to the last. You have never failed me, and always I have recovered you. I had you from my father and he from of old. If ever you came from the forges of the true king under the mountain, go now! Your day and mine last has come." The dragon swooped once more lower than ever, and as he turned and dived down, his belly glittered white with the sparkling fires of gems in the moon. But not in one place. Therein was a hollow. The great bow twanged. The black arrow sped straight from the string and sought its mark by the left breast where the foreleg was flung wide. In it smote and vanished, barb, shaft, and feather, so fierce was his flight. With a shriek that deafened men, felled trees and split stone, Smaug shot spouting into the air, his eyes dying from crimson to grey, turning over and crashing down from on high in ruin. Full on the town he fell. His last throw splintered into the sparks and glades. The lake roared in to swallow him, and a vast steam leaped up, white in the sudden dark under the moon. Bard was thrown from his bridge, his bow breaking, and there was a hiss, a gushing whirl, and then silence. And that was the end of Smaug the Magnificent, the mighty, the unaccessibly wealthy, whose armor was tenfold shields, whose teeth were swords, whose claws were spears, and whose wings were a hurricane. A massive thank you to all my new patrons, and if you want to go check out the artist Karol, please do so. Her stuff is down below in the description. Stay nerdy, and I'll see you in the future.